This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is
the one that everybody wants, me.
Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania. Claymore!
Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass.
This is my idol. You're gonna acknowledge me.
Hello everybody and welcome to this week's Highs and Lows in Wrestling here on the unofficial WWE Podcast. Today is Sunday, August 29, 2021. My name is Mimi Burris and it has been a long, wonderful, beautiful Sunday here up in the Northeast, and I'm ready for bed, guys, and it's not even 9 o'clock, so we're gonna get talking about this week in wrestling. We're mostly gonna focus on one brand this week. You want to know what brand we're gonna be talking about? You might be surprised, and you're going to have to stick around to find out. So we will get into all of that, your high, your low of the week, and your random match recommendation, of course, right after this.
Hardy with a powerful right hand knocking Sammy Guevara through the stage.
I want a divorce.
Dog food! He's covered in dog food! Very elevated up and over the top of the assistant. Bailey, no, get down! You're kidding me! You ruined my life! I told you I was gonna ruin yours!
I feed a whole family with this title.
I hope you all had a wonderful week this week, as it was another very eventful week in wrestling. Not nearly, obviously, as eventful as last week, but there is still plenty to talk about. And as I said at the top of the show, we're mostly going to be focusing on one brand here, guys, because really, I just said this week was eventful. It actually really wasn't. Raw was pretty mundane and actually not like... It wasn't bad enough to really get on here and talk about anything fun that was just stupid, awful. I mean, don't get me wrong, there was really bad stuff on the show. We saw Karrion Kross's outfit. But it also wasn't like, it wasn't a doll winking on the turnbuckle bad. So, we're not really going to talk much about Raw. I am blown away by how much I couldn't be bothered to care about SmackDown this week with a Becky Lynch and a Brock Lesnar return at SummerSlam. Just really wasn't interested, guys. I think the Becky Lynch thing really just, it just felt desperate. It felt desperate and unnecessary, and obviously the thing that happened at SummerSlam felt stupid, and we talked about that obviously last week, so I won't get into that. But we're talking about this week, and for the most part, guys, like I said, Dynamite, if you heard my AEW Dynamite review show this week, it was probably one of the worst Dynamites of the year, if not of all time. And not because anything was too god-awful, besides that botch by Red Velvet, which I'm still thinking about and worrying about her neck. But the placement, a lot of this stuff was really bad. There was no main event. The main event was not main event worthy, and really, it just, the stuff that they fought, like all the momentum they had from Rampage, and this is the Dynamite they put out with all the star power and all the incredible talent they have on their show. It was just disappointing. So, most of all, guys, this week, you guessed it, by the one show I really didn't talk about yet, we're going to be talking about NXT. And we are going to start with your low of the week, which took place on Wednesday, on Tuesday. No, NXT isn't on Wednesday anymore, Zach Smith, because they lost the Wednesday Night Wars. It's for the NHL. It's because the NHL had something going on. It had nothing to do with the fact that AEW was just dominating. Your low of the week was this Tuesday, and it's Boa versus Zion Quinn. Because, guys, what the actual was this? This was awful. This was really stupid, right? I don't know what happened to Xia Li, but I want to tell you one thing. I was way more interested in Xia Li than I was in Boa. And Boa was fine as kind of a side thing to that, and maybe later on a little bit more, but we didn't really get to know Boa as much. Yeah, they had all those weird vignettes and all that stuff, but for the most part, Xia Li was the main character here. I don't know where Xia Li's been since she lost the challenge to Raquel Gonzalez, obviously. I don't know. They just took her off TV. But we're supposed to invest so much in this Mei Ying thing and this Tian Sha and what a Boa. And then they have a match against a guy that I don't know much about, Zion Quinn, and I'm probably saying his name wrong even. And the 1,000-year-old dragon warrior princess thing distracts its own disciple, I don't know even know what you want to call it, boa, where this random guy gets the win. This, a while back, I don't know if you guys remember, there was a match between Tony Storm and another rookie to NXT, someone we don't see often. And I think Tony Storm came out at one point or something, but the rookie got the win because Tony Storm got overconfident. That was a good match, and I really liked that. I really thought that was well done, and if they don't do it too often, it's fine. This had no purpose. And also, where was that rookie that won that match? I don't remember her name. We didn't see her after that. So, yeah, Mei Ying got up, demanded some kind of respect or something. Boa turns around, gets hit with a double running axe handle, and that's the pinfall. That's the pinfall. Really just weird match. Not even that greatly. I mean, it was okay. It wasn't that it was badly worked or anything, but so weird for Boa to just lose suddenly. I guarantee, again, sadly, I have a bad feeling releases may be coming, guys, because how do you build something up with all the week's investment I had to put in? And this is the problem with WWE as a whole. This is why when I see these Elias vignettes that aren't terrible, but fine, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt here. When I see these Elias vignettes, I have no emotional investment because, honestly, guys, Elias could just get released next week or just never show up on WWE television again or get back and lose in a squash match, right? Fans get behind winners. That's usually how it works. So if they get behind losers, they get behind losers because they are fighting losers, a Fuego del Sol, for example. Fans don't get behind people who have 15 weeks of vignettes and then lose to some random person on NXT. Just makes no sense. And I know these shows were taped, and that has no excuse either, but this just was bad, and I don't feel like talking about it anymore, guys. So, let's talk about your high of the week, because we're staying with NXT, but however, we are going over to Sunday night, Sunday night, actually. Sunday's part of the week, and you guys called it. You know what the high of the week was. You probably knew the minute it happened, and it was the NXT UK Championship match, Walter versus Ilya Dragunov. I mean, these two guys beat the living bejesus out of each other. They beat the shit out of each other, guys. They really did. Ilya Dragunov's, the fire-up spots and, that scar on his face with the stitches totally helped the cause. I know you never want anybody to get busted open on it by accident. Obviously, you always want the wrestlers to be as safe as possible. But there's something about a little color, and when that happened in the Pete Dunne match, and he had to get all those nice stitches or whatever, it just made him look even more intense. That weird little thing he said backstage later on in the show, I didn't even care what he was saying. His chest, his neck, he looked beaten and battered, and I don't watch NXT UK, I don't watch NXT UK weekly. I have very little to no interest in NXT besides obviously Walter, which we all just are interested in Walter as a, again, we're not very interested in NXT UK, but we can all be interested in the champion Walter. And Kaylee Ray, who the former NXT NXT UK Women's Champion. I don't know why I keep leaving out the UK part. But guys, I mean, this match was one of those where they did a okay job introducing us to both people for any of us who were not familiar with NXT UK, obviously. The build-up was awful. You don't lose to somebody on your way to a championship match at a pay-per-view. But yes, Ilya Dragunov lost to Pete Dunne. So if that's their way of building a match, they are fine. Honestly, guys, as much as this match was amazing, I hate to be a Debbie Downer here, but apparently I'm negative. So I hate to be a Debbie Downer, but no one's, Ilya Dragunov's not going to change anything for NXT UK. And you know what? If he does, I will get on this podcast and stand corrected, but I don't. You don't tweet me, please, on the Twitter, at Mimi Burris. If you watch NXT UK, tell me about it. I'd love to hear that. I really would, because I don't know anyone who actually watches this show. So, but yeah, the strikes these guys threw back and forth, the chops, the torpedo Moscow from behind, that was great. Him kicking out of the big splash when Walter hit that, obviously the way he won the title, that was crazy. And not only did Ilya Dragunov get the victory, but he tapped out Walter. And yes, Walter has a super long reign. How definitive is it? I mean, how many defenses has he really had? Or big title matches? The only one people talk about is obviously the match with Ilya Dragunov. The first match at least. But all that stuff goes out the window because I tweeted this while I was watching this match, or I don't remember if I watched UK. Yes, I did watch this live. Okay. I tweeted it while I was watching this match. we forget sometimes, and I sit in front of here on a microphone and talk like I know what I'm talking about. I don't know what I'm talking about. And I think I'm very open with you guys about that. I don't know what I'm talking about. I've never taken a bump. I've never been in a ring like that and I've never taken a bump like that. So I don't know what it feels like. I can't claim to know what it feels like. And these men and women, right? They put their bodies on the line every single time they go out there. And that sounds so cliche, but we forget that when I sit in front of here on my microphone and talk about all this stuff and we, I critique Nikki Ash or Alexa Bliss or whoever it is, right? These men and women, though, go out there and destroy their bodies for a living for our entertainment. And I think this match was such a good reminder of that. Knowing very little about NXT UK and the weird little amount of prestige that title really has. Yeah, one guy's held it for a long time. That's not how you have prestige on a title, though. There's so much more that needs to go into it. But when I watched this match, I was like, this is why I watch pro wrestling. I watch pro wrestling to watch two guys beat the hell out of each other. A clear face, a clear heel. The babyface overcoming. Like, that's that feeling that you get when you're invested in something. And these guys are so good. Imagine if they had this crazy storyline on national television with 2 million people watching every week. Imagine if it had that amount of momentum behind it. Imagine how much better this match would be raved. And I think this broke the Dave Meltzer chart, so I can't even begin to picture what that would be like. So yeah, absolutely, guys, this takes my high for the week. And with all that being said, I know, again, shorter show than usual, and maybe not even than usual because we've been shortening these shows a little bit. But guys, as I said, schedule's getting busy and WWE television is just getting hard to watch lately. But I did want to make sure I popped on here and absolutely at least gave you guys the high and low for the week. Pretty uneventful week as a whole, too. Not much to talk about. So I will be back, obviously, on this Thursday/Wednesday night, depending when I have a chance to record it, with your AEW Dynamite review show. And we'll be back, obviously, next weekend with the highs and lows of the week for that week. A whole bunch to look forward to this week, obviously, with Dynamite coming up. And I don't know, if you're excited about anything going on in WWE, I always say power to you. I think that's incredible, and I wish I could be too. I wish I was able to just enjoy the product like that. But for some reason, I guess I just can't enjoy some of the stuff that's being presented to me. So, with all that being said, let me give you a random match recommendation of the week, which is none other than... This might seem like a cop-out, guys, but it's not. I just think it's... when else am I going to come on here and mention an NXT UK match? So how about the original, the OG, Walter versus Ilya Dragunov, Part 1. Go check it out if you haven't, guys. I mean, these guys, again, just same thing as this match. In fact, I like this one better, but I know, it doesn't even matter because these are both great. Go check it out. Ilya Dragunov versus Walter won during the pandemic, obviously, but you know what? You imagine if there were crowds for that, too. Just imagine if there was a full stadium for that. Just the way they beat the living crap out of each other. These guys put the wrestling in. These guys, not even wrestling, these guys just had a fight. And you know what? Go check it out if you haven't. That's your random match recommendation of the week. Thank you guys, as always, for choosing the WWE podcast. If you are not already, we are on Patreon for $1 a month, or you can subscribe on iTunes to get all these shows ad-free for about $2.99 a month, if I'm correct. So either of those options. There's also a bunch of other options on Patreon, a bunch of exciting stuff going on here. We released like a 2-hour show. If you got a long drive coming up or something and you just need some people talking about wrestling and that's what you want to listen to, sometimes I just get in that mode. Released a show with Michael Gross, just talking about, the top 5 gimmicks of all time and a bunch of other stuff too. Just having a nice conversation about wrestling with the guy who knows a lot more than I do. So go check that out if you haven't, or if you have a long drive or a long something coming up. And yeah, I will be back, obviously, on your AEW Dynamite review show. We'll be talking more about Rampage there as well. And then next week on your highs and lows. So with all that being said, guys, I will talk to you next time.